Okay, so our learning objectives here is to discuss the recruitment process. Okay, so we all know that this is already tackled in your previous human resources management subject because we are going to level up the topic when it comes to the international issues. Okay, so of course, recruitment, it's about, of course, seeking or looking for a qualified applicants to be a manpower or to be an employee of the companies, domestic and abroad. So, of course, every firm, every business, they always assess the staffing needs, okay, to complete the manpower needed in their organization. And of course, if we talk about international market, it talks about the labor markets, where we can seek, where the companies can find or can seek qualified applicants to be a part of the organization and to seek a qualified applicants for the employment. That's why it's very important when say staffing, it's about searching, looking, and employing of a person or individual to be an employee, to be part of the company that they for that to perform the task in helping the objectives of the organization. That's why it is very important when you use to recruit or to assess the staffing needs. It is very important to forecast. When you say forecast, it is about predicting the manpower needed in the organization based on the condition of the company, based on the profitability of the company, based on the production and output of the company, and based on the status where the company is experiencing a crisis or a growth. That's why those things are considered to forecast the estimated number of employees. And of course, we used to estimate in advance or to predict in advance about the types of employees that we need to hire or to recruit, and even the number of employees needed in the organization. That's why in a company, before they used to recruit, excuse me, they used to take a manpower inventory. If the manpower available inside the organization is really enough for the task to be performed, or they have two things. We need additional manpower to perform other tasks, because there are some tasks which experience are now growing for expansion, and we need additional manpower to perform the particular task needed in the production and operations of the organization. And the second one, this is the saddest thing, if the company or the organization suffers economic crisis, that was the time that some people or manpower may use to retrench, or to what we call, the other term is cost cutting, and the first cost to be cut are the manpower. Especially if the company or the organization is in the crisis and they see that there are a lot of overhead in the manpower, then they have to retrench it. Especially right now, we are in the COVID-19 pandemic. There are a lot of economic losses all over the world, not only in the Philippines, that there are some companies who have tend to be closed, and many people have lost their jobs. And because right now we are now in the stage of recovery, not only in the Philippines but all over the world, because of course the first world and second world country are when it comes to recovery, economic recovery, they are fast because they are rich country. While in the third world country like us, and we are belong to the third world country, we are our economic recovery is very slow, because of course we need a support and help from the rich countries to revert back our economy. So to open a business, a lot of these opportunities, and to create employment to the people. Well, if you look on the other side, even though we are in the COVID-19 pandemic, there are some new opportunities or new business opportunities comes in. And there are also available jobs comes in, okay? Especially right now because we are in the stage of recovery, and I hope this COVID-19 pandemic will finish. Because if you watch the news yesterday and the other day, when it comes to the medical jobs like nurses abroad, they are in demand right now because of course not because of the COVID-19 pandemic, but they are need additional manpower to those other international other countries for a nursing aid or nursing staff that to rescue or to assist the people who are in need, especially the COVID-19. Okay, so even though here in the Philippines, experienced nurses and medical staff are going to resign, but there are a lot of job opportunities that waits them abroad because of that. Okay, so if there's a loss, there's always an open door. That's why, as part of determining staffing needs, it is very important to conduct a supply analysis because a supply analysis determines the sufficient types and number of employees available in our organization. As I've said, that is a manpower inventory. And if we need a manpower, of course, that was the time that we need to hire additional manpower, of course, to balance the demand and the supply of the employees. Okay, of course. That's why we have a stages of recruitment because not all aspiring applicants are qualified or it can be selected to be part of the organization. That's why recruitment is there because in order to shortlist a lot of aspiring applicants to get a job, and there are the people who deserves for that position will be selected and hired by the organization. That's why once a company assess the overall staffing needs, then managers will begin to fill the individual jobs. Because if it talks about staffing, we need to conduct an analysis of manpower needed, manpower inventory. If we need additional manpower, there are vacant jobs to fill in. That's why we have to recruit. But if the manpower needed is really enough in the organization, then there's no need to recruit. There's no need to make additional manpower. Or if the manpower has an excess or overhead, the saddest thing that happened, it's time to reduce or to retrench some of the employees. Okay. So what are those factors to be considered in staffing or in the global recruitment? Okay, we have the following questions to be to answer the factors. First, what will the new employee be assigned to do? Yes, what will be the assignment of the new employee in case that there's a newly hired employee? So of course, it is responsibility not only the HR but even the department of this new employee to work for to give that task an assignment to do on the first day. They need, aside from the orientation of the employees, that the said department are used to orient about the task to be performed. I know that teaching a new employee, it might be a time consuming, but please take note that on this kind of situation, there need an extensive training. You know what? I do experience that before when I was in the corporate world because I was in the corporate world because when I was new in the company after the new employees orientation, it's time for deployment. And when I was deployed on the department on my first day of reporting, okay, on the first day of my report, I was introduced by the HR to my boss, and my boss has a senior specialist or senior staff to teach me what to do on the first day. And they teach me for 2 days on the things to do. And on the third day, I have the actual performance, or I have the actual to do my job. Even though 2 days is not enough for me to learn a lot of things, but sometimes you need to do your self-learning after they give you the instructions on what to do on the task that you perform. That is extensive training. Okay. So yeah, that's the factors to be considered, because the lesson learned from that is for every department. Of course, even though the HR has the duties and responsibilities for recruitment purposes, but that each department has also the task to be performed, and it will be given to the new employees or the newly hired employees, and perform the job which is vacated. Okay. The second one is, what are the qualifications that the employee will need? That's why in the recruitment, we use to have a job specification, because these are the requirements or the qualifications of an individual to occupy the vacant position. That's why in the recruitment, we put those things in order to filter the aspiring applicants to apply. Okay? Because there are also aspiring applicants who are not qualified for the position, but they passed the resume. That's why in the recruitment, they have to screen the resumes, and that will be subject for shortlisting. And once the resumes are in the shortlist, the applicants in the shortlist, they tend to call and do some employment assessment. By the way, in recruitment, we have external and internal. The internal recruitment is once there is a vacant job, it is the company to prioritize existing employees inside the organization to apply on a new position by means of transfer or job transfer. So if the existing employee transfer to a vacant job, and of course the existing job position will be vacated, and that's us. We need an external recruitment, that we recruit manpower outside the organization, which is the walk-in applicants or referral by someone else. Okay, so of course qualification is a very important thing. Okay, because especially in the international, if we talk about international employment, there are some companies which are very stiff to the qualifications, because if they see an applicant which is not qualified, then they will not get to hire. They will not give them a slot for the shortlisting. But in the domestic employment, there are, especially in the Philippines, there are times that for those applicants who are not qualified, but they are hired, and give them an opportunity for some reason. And for whatever the reason is, on the part of the applicant, they should be thankful for giving that kind of experience. Anyway, and then the third factor, or the questions to be considered, the third factor in the question, what is the best combinations of course, this is the technical abilities, personality traits, and environmental factors needed to ensure the success. So it means about the employee or applicant, a combination of technical abilities. We say technical abilities, it's about a technical skills to operate a machine, to operate a simple machine, or they have knowledge to operate something. Personality traits, it's about how to work with people. Aside from the character, even the behavior of the individual. Is this the behavior, the character of this individual are fitted, of an individual is fitted to the organization? Is this individual can work with people or with the people within the organization? Because please take note that attitude matters no matter what. That's why I always tell to my students, and also to colleagues, that in the job, when you enter a job in a corporate or any type of organization, attitude matters. You should always be good. It should always be a kind, a polite, or stay low. Because why? We need to be stay low, because sometimes people are promoted based on the attitude. Because there are some people who are very highly skilled and they are very competent in all facets, but why they are not promoted? Because of the attitude. Because there are some people who are very competent, but when it comes to the attitude, which they cannot work with the people, that is a problem. That's why are so many people are getting promoted, even they are, yes, they are competent, but they are they are lacking something. It's just because of the attitude. But that's part of personality traits. That's why I used to say stay low, because you know what? Every one of us can be replaced by someone else, because there are people in our surroundings are more greater than us. That's why we should always be stay low, so we can work with people. And if we can work with people, you can stay for the organization for a long time, and you enjoy the work. You enjoy the work that you do because of the people that you work for. Okay? And even the environmental factors, those are the factors to be considered. Okay? The environmental factors is how do you adapt the working environment of the organization, regardless of the cultures of your individual workers and the culture of the organization. Okay? Okay, so now let us proceed now to the recruitment process. So it starts with the human resource planning. Excuse me. Of course, what are the composition of the human resource planning? It's about the forecasting, job analysis, and job design. Please take note that human resource planning, this is a continuous process, because we need to identify the present and the future manpower needs or human resources needs, because every period, there's always a turnover, and every period that the need for the manpower is changing based on the skills, based on the tenure, based on the adaptation of technologies. Okay? And HR planning also ensures the availability of the manpower that fit to the job. And why? To avoid the shortage or surplus. But you know what? This is the international issue, that the availability of manpower that fits to the job, because not all manpower is qualified for the position, because there are some people that even though they are not qualified, but they are hired. Okay, but of course it is very on the part of the organization, they should be very keen about this kind of availability of manpower that fits to the job. Okay, and also the HR planning, an activity of determining how the organization utilize the manpower according to the task performed, efficiency and effectivity of the policy, and the number of people who are working in the organization. Okay, that's part of the human resource planning. So let us discuss the components. Forecasting, as I had said, this is the attempt to predict or to determine the supply and demand of the manpower inside the organization in order to predict how many people that we need, or the company may experience a labor shortages or surplus in the future. It will depending on the conditions of the business when it comes to profitability, when it comes to losses, when it comes to expansion or a crisis. Job analysis is also a process of continuous collection of information. Of course, when we say job analysis, this is the collection of information about the responsibilities, duties, and skills, results, and work environment. So how can the HR can do that? Because of course, for every department, there are a lot of tasks to be performed. So for each position, the HR are analyzing the tasks to be performed by the job position. That's why the HR are coordinating with the departments of the organization about the actual performance of the job positions that they use to analyze and to create duties and responsibilities that can be used for recruitment. Okay, so that is the job analysis. So that's the collection of information, and the job design is the next step. Is the job design after we analyze, we do the job analysis, because job design is about organizing and outlining the duties and responsibilities of a vacant position to compress in the one single unit to achieve the desired goal of recruiting, selecting, and hiring of manpower. Okay, so after that, of course, recruitment comes in, because when it comes to after we have the HR plan, that's why we have to recruit. Okay, because if we recruit potential employees, okay, because the firm will announce or do some job posting, okay, about the job openings in the organization. Okay, and sometimes they use the, as I've said earlier, they use to internal recruitment, because there are some existing employees who want to work with other department or to transfer his position to other department. Okay, that's internal recruitments. But if someone doesn't have an interest, then the company or the organization will use to recruit outside or external recruitment. Okay, so next is recruitment and selection. So it talks about the recruitment potential employees. Those are the internal recruitments, because we also use to recruit internal employees to transfer into other job positions. And the recruitment and selection, of course, this is also yes, a part of recruitment. After the HR analysis, it's about looking, searching, okay, of qualified potential employees or a qualified applicant to be a potential employees. That's why in the recruitment, it creates a buffer between planning and actual selection of new employees. Yes, when you say buffer, sometimes, you know what, recruitment has also a deadline on when do we need to hire a manpower, especially if it is needed. That's why it creates a buffer, because sometimes we recruit people without the HR plan. Because it is very important to do the plan before recruitment. But that's why it becomes buffer, just in case someone who replace if some job position in the department have lost employee, regardless if it is voluntary or involuntary, and they need a manpower request, then the HR will be the one to look on it, even without the plan. But that's why that's why there's a buffer. Because if we have the plan before we request a manpower, we have also to check the HR plan of the HR to take a manpower inventory if we need a replacement to the person who lost, or if or not, because there are some overheads on the department that we need to reduce, or if it's really in need for that, that was the time that the HR will use to recruit. Okay, that's why it creates a buffer on the HR planning. But please take note that the goal of the recruitment or the goal of recruiting is to generate large number of applicants. Okay, that's because that's recruitment. Because if there are large numbers of applicants, the HR has, take note, has the many choices, or the HR have many choices to shortlist a qualified applicant which is needed. Okay? And take note that recruitment and selection is a very complex process to select from among the best, or from among the applicants who will really fit, or who are really fit to the job. And not only fitted to the job, if the potential applicant is interested to the job offer which the organization or the HR will give in case he is the one to be really look for. Okay, and it's the decision from the an applicant to accept or reject the offer. But in case that the recruited applicant rejects the job offer, then the HR, the recruitment departments, has a lot of options or has a lot of options to get another applicant that's part of their short list. Because, you know, in the recruitment, if they pass the examination, interview, and the final interview, there's a rule of three. Okay? Let's say they are in one department in marketing. There are 5 applicants on the final interview, and for the 5 applicants for final interview, they need only 2. So from the 5 applicants that undergone final interview, and it is ranked by the department, it is ranked from 1 to 5. So the first 3. So for whoever the first choice of the marketing department, that was the HR we used to hire and to give a job offer. And if this first choice is rejected, the offer, then the second choice will be the one to contact and to make a job offer until it will be accepted. Okay? So, of course, many applicants feel sad if they are not to be shortlisted and they are not to be hired by the company. But it's so hard for the company also to select and hire potential applicants. Okay? It's also hard for the company, especially the HR recruitment team. Okay? So what are those recruitment process? Okay? So the recruitment process is to formulate a recruitment strategies, because there are a lot of recruitment strategies in order after the job posting. Of course, we need to recruit a lot of manpower to have a large volume of applicants to be selected, and then search for job applicants. So after you have the recruitment strategy, you are going to search your applicants for those who used to apply in the company. And then once there are applicants, you have to screen the applicants through the shortlisting of resumes to employment examination to initial and final interview. And then after that, we have to maintain the pool of applicants. So you maintain the pool of applicants. If you are now have a shortlisted and a qualified applicant to hire, that is, we need to maintain them. At the same time, if we have to maintain them for a job opportunities. So because if somebody rejects, if the applicant rejects a job opportunity, it will be hard for the recruitment team to replace those things. That's why it's very important to do the shortlist, okay, on the part of the recruitment team. And what are the sources of applicants? So of course, the source of applicants, internal, which is the existing employees of the organization. External sources, those are the walk-in applicants in the company. Of course, referrals. The other term for referrals is a backer or in the job fairs. Right now in the pandemic, the job fair is now on a virtual or online. Okay. Last year, the Job Street gives that online job fair for the companies that used to upload the resumes of the applicants. Even last time, okay, last September. And then online internet-based recruitment portals. So online-based, of course, like the Job Street is also an online-based internet recruitment portals that they used to do job postings of the company. Actually, Job Street is a platform of every company that they used to post the job vacancies and looking for the qualified applicant. And sometimes Job Street is the one who used to screen applicants for the company. Sometimes. Okay, sometimes. That's why, especially now we are in the digital age, most of the recruitment of the companies, especially in times of pandemic, are on the remote or online. Okay, next is selecting qualified applicants. Please take note that the best applicant is the person with the highest potential from among the other applicants in order to meet the job expectation. That's why this is the reason why recruitment teams select qualified employees. From among the applicants, they think that this applicant has the highest potential to perform the job. That's why he was chosen, or the applicant was chosen, because the recruitment team see to it and they feel it that this is the right person they need for the position. And of course, it is competence. Competence is also an important in selecting a potential employee, because when it talks about competence, there are a lot of dimensions. And one of the dimensions of competence is the technical knowledge and experience. Technical knowledge, it's about your technical skills, your conceptual skills, and your human skills. Okay? And the experience, of course, it talks about your work experience in the job. Because in the experience, you know what's in the job experience that you have, you know the expertise of yours. Well, there's a question that lies to it. What about the newly graduates? How did they gain experience in a job? Of course, there are some companies also are looking for the college graduates with or without experience, but on the companies, of course, for the newly grad, they used to give a job opportunities for them to explore the job and the career that they want to. Because not all companies recruit or select applicants with experiences. Okay, of course, experience is a factor, because especially if the position is a managerial, it's really need an experience. But for the rank and file, even though there are no experience yet, they has the opportunity, the company has the opportunity to recruit and hire applicants. So experience is also a dimension of competence. So the newly grads without experience, that's why they have the practicum or on-the-job training, or a practicum rather, or apprenticeship. It's just because in preparation for the college students to the actual job. That's why even they graduated, even they are now graduated, of course, the companies are looking for the newly grads to give them an opportunity to work with. Of course, no newly grad is applying for a managerial position with no experience. Like, no matter how smart the person is, as far as I know, everything starts with a small position like the rank and file. And if you really experience a staff or a rank and file for more than 5 years, then there's an opportunity that waits to you for the promotion of your position from the rank and file to a managerial, from supervisory to a manager. Okay? That's why competence is also a factor in recruitment, that those dimensions is a technical knowledge and the experience. You know what? Experience is the best teacher. That's why, don't worry, my dear students, maybe some of you are asking, because I've been there, after I finish my college, what's next? Do I get a job immediately? You can get a job immediately if you are very eager to seek and to get a job. And there's always a perfect timing of getting a job. Just hold on, just enjoy of applying a job, then later the companies will look for you, and do your best for the employment assessments and show them that you are the right person that they need for the position. Okay, but please do not be too much confident. Sometimes too much confident can lead you overconfident can lead you an attitude problem. Okay, so it should be a balance. Okay. Next is adaptability. So this is the factor that relates the ability of the individual to adjust to different conditions. Of course, this is also important from the applicants or in the recruitment of the HR. They want an applicant to see that they are able to make some adjustments to different conditions happen inside the organizations. Because it is very important that we as part of the organization to adapt the environment, to adapt the working environment, and for whatever changes in the policies or conditions in the company, we as the people are tend to capable to adjust or to adapt some changes. Because even though you are too much experienced or staying in the company, there are a lot of changes. An example, my friend in the government sector, she is now celebrating 16 years in the company. Take note, in the government sector, 16 years. Okay. Have you imagined? And that's the first job that he had in the government after graduating from college. He started as a staff, and now for 16 years, she is now a senior staff. Maybe you can ask me, in the 16 years, sir, from a small one, she became only a senior staff. Why? You said if you're very specific, you get promoted. Yes, you get promoted. She was promoted, but because in the government sector, in the HR, the answer is there are things that the HR is looking for her to qualify on managerial that she don't have. That's the hindrance. That's why he plans to study again, and I told her, can you? And she answers, at my age, at 40, I can memorize a lot. Of course, 40 is a young adult, and it's difficult to memorize a lot of things in the study. That's why I don't think that I can, but it's a requirement. Then why don't you try? I told him, why don't you try? Because I myself, I used to study a doctorate study, but I can. And and she answers, we are different because you are in the education industry. And it's, of course, you can adapt the study in your profession, but not in my profession as a government worker. And I told her, do not underestimate your capabilities. Of course you can. You must adapt because she was promoted, but the reason why she is not promoted to be a supervisor, because he's looking an educational attainment, another educational attainment for her. Okay, that's the reason. Anyway, but she's happy that she made in the government for 16 years. And I told him, oh, you can have an early retirement because in 15 years in the government, you can have an early retirement. And she told me, no, I'm enjoying my job. I'm at 40s. I don't need to retire. Because I'm going to retire at the age of 65 for as long as I am in this office. And I told him, wow. And then I asked her about this. Do you think there are a lot of changes in the 16 years of your work in that government? And she answers, yes. There are a lot of changes from technology, from the working environment, from the location. What else? From the skills, it's really there are changes. But for me, as a 16 years tenure in the government, as an example, I know how to adapt those things. And I can't, and according to her, I can't go, I can't resign and find another job because I enjoy my work in the government, in this government agency, she told me. In the government agency she worked. And I told him, well, good for you. Because but that's what more important is enjoying your job. Okay? That's the most important thing. Regardless of the salary that you get, for as long as you enjoy your job, then you will not tend to get outside. But I'm not saying, I'm not saying, my dear students, that I am not saying, my dear students, that uh, having a lot of companies is a bad thing. No. Because why people are looking for other employment opportunities, even though they have existing jobs, because they are looking for their career growth. Sometimes organization, they don't, employees doesn't feel a career growth with a company or organization. That's why they are looking for a better opportunity or other companies or organization that will give a career opportunities for advancement. That's the reason. But for her, it's a case-to-case basis, my dear students. But on her, on my friend, I said good to her, because what's more important to stay to enjoy the work. Because I myself, you know what, I worked in this institution for 11 years. And this is the longest job that I have in teaching, because before I came to teaching, I also worked in the corporate setting for more than 4 years. And this institution is my fifth company. So it means in this, as my fifth company, this institution, I was diverted from the office to teaching. It means that I enjoy working in teaching. You see? So it's adaptability. And for my 11 years, I also adapt the changes of our institution. And that's what that's what more important. And of course, personal characteristics. The personal characteristics, it's about the maturity of the employees, is also a dimension, because maturity is about how the person can understand the surroundings, can really understand the nature of the organization and their co-employees. Okay. Another dimension of personal characteristics is education, of course, because education level is also, I'm sorry, educational attainment rather. Educational attainment also is a fact, is a dimension of characteristics in order to get or to land for a better job. That's why I myself, I educate education. You know, there are many people are become successful even they don't have college degrees. And it's true. I do believe on that. Okay, many people become successful because become successful even though they have a college education. But I always told to the youth, to the millennials of today, do whatever the things that makes you grow. But please do not forget an education. Whether you finish a college and you not use it, and because you have other interests too, what important is you fulfill the college education, you fulfill the dream of your parents, and you, in case that you change your mind and you want to practice your degree, then you have the opportunity, a better opportunities in a lot of things. That's what I always advocate. As I've said, even though you are successful, do not forget for the education. As an example, showbiz. An example in showbiz, Alden Richards. You know what Alden Richards is? Alagueño. I'm from Laguna, and you know what? Alden Richard is from Santa Rosa, Laguna, and I'm from San Pedro, Laguna. I see it. I see Alden Richards many times before she entered the showbiz because he is a Ginoong Laguna and Ginoong Santa Rosa. That's she is a male beauty queen, in other words, and then he entered the showbiz. He only graduated from high school, and now he's now more successful. And if you watch in the news last time, his father told him that's the next step, that he do not forget to study college because this is the dream of his father to him. Even though he becomes successful, do not forget to study. And don't you know that Alden Richard is the endorser of AMA? Don't you? He's the endorser of our institution right now. Who knows? He is now studying OED, and even Maha Salvador is the endorser of AMA OED. Who knows? He's studying AMA, and later he has a degree in later, because studying OED or online education is convenient for those working, especially celebrities. Okay, because education is very important. So I also advocate it, you know. And of course, gender is also a personal characteristic. And you know what, we talk about gender, there are a lot of issues. Why? Because gender is it's about the role of portraying a male or a female personality. It's not about a physical assignment. Okay, gender is about a role to portray of a male and a female. As example, if your sexual assignment is a male, then the gender is what role that are going to portray. Are you going to portray a male in your sexual assignment of a male, or your sexual assignment is a male but you want to portray a female role? Okay? And it's not about LGBT. Okay, I talk about gender. And this is also, some people misunderstood about the meaning of gender. But anyway, so another issue of the gender, that women's ability are also underestimated by the men. But right now, because in the old tradition that women are only for households, but not anymore, because women also can empower, because there are some things that women can do. Okay, that women can do also, just like the men can do. Okay, and also in contrast or reverse, men can perform women's tasks, but not childbearing, because only women can do a pregnant, not the men. But in the organization, of course, the things that varies the gender is the culture. But please take note, regardless of the work and the performance, men and women are equal to perform a job. Yes, they have a different leadership styles. They have different characteristics. But for whatever their difference is, they can work as one, and their output can be only one. Okay? So that is a personal characteristics. So that is our topic for today when it comes to the global selection.